Hello again, first graders. This video is going to do the instructional piece for today's math, 8.8. So 8.8 is going to start on page 171. 8.8 starts on 171. Now, I know that the review and check video was lengthy. You guys had to do a lot of listening. So if you guys are doing this back to back, so you're doing the instruction right after the review and check video, I actually want you guys to go ahead, pause the video right now, and go listen to a Go Noodle. Go do a Go Noodle that we have on the daily learning plan. Or I'd like you to just kind of get up, walk about the house, just kind of get that energy out, get the wiggles out. One thing you could do, you could grab yourself 15 pennies actually. I think we need 15 pennies. So you can go ahead, grab yourself 15 pennies, come back, and it might help you to do your math. So press pause, head on out. Alright, thank you for taking that quick motor break for yourself. Hopefully we can get through this quickly and at a better pace so you guys won't have to sit as long. But today we're doing sharing pennies, okay? So the reason I wanted to get math manipulatives out is because it's nice to just have something to play with. We have some visual learners, we have some kinesthetic learners who like to actually touch what they're learning about. So that's why I like to have these. Now, boys and girls, we are going to count out 8 pennies. Let's count by twos. Skip count by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8. I have 8 pennies. Now let's skip count by fours. 4, 8. 8 pennies. Okay, so it says halves. Now it says 2 people share 8 pennies equally, okay? So 2 people share 8 pennies equally. Now, I kind of already have them in groups, don't I? But that's the idea. We want to put them in groups. So if we have 8 pennies, we want to split them into equal groups, okay? So if there are 2 people, we want them to have the same amount, all right? So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to put my 8 pennies down here. I'm going to draw 2 groups. 1, 2. Okay? Now, for these 2 groups, I would go penny in one group, penny in the other, penny in one, penny in the other. Keep doing that so that there's an equal amount of pennies until there are no pennies left to put in the groups. Now, you can see that I have 4 pennies in each group. Now, we know that 2 people can share 8 pennies, and how many pennies does each person get? Each person gets 4 pennies, okay? So now, a different way we could do this. Now, you don't necessarily have to do it in groups. I think this is the easiest way, and this is the best way to start off doing this, but the more you practice, the more skills you're going to build, and you're going to be able to do this a different way. So you could, if you knew your fact families, and you knew 4 plus 4 is 8, I know that 4 times 2 is 8, so I just make one group of 4, another group of 4. You could do that. You could count it off. You could go, let's see, 2, 2, 2, and 2. Now you have 2 different groups. You're making 2 different groups, okay? So the key is you needed 2 people, 2 groups, to share 8 pennies equally. All right? Now, let's go on to 2. Now, I'm going to flip this upside down. Now, instead of dumping all your pennies, boys and girls, it says 9 pennies, okay? So if we had 8 pennies before and we need 9 now, how many more do we need to add? Very good. We need to add 1 more penny to give us 9 total pennies, okay? So, okay, here we go. That'll work. Now we won't get confused with the other problem, okay? So it says thirds, okay? 3 people share 9 pennies equally. Thirds means 3, remember? So we need to find 3 groups, and we need to split these pennies up evenly into 3 groups, okay? So if we have 9, now we could make, remember, we could make our 3 groups. 1, 2, 3. So we can go a penny to each group until we run out of pennies. Okay, 3, 3, 3. Look, I have no more pennies. So each group has 3 pennies, right? So how many pennies does each person get? Each person gets 3 pennies. Okay, now skip counting. We could have skip counted by 3s. Okay, so we take 3. If we have 9 up here, now this is where you'd need to know multiplication facts, which that's going to be a second grade skill you're going to learn, but there's no harm in introducing it now. Now, if it's asking you for 3 groups, 3, I know that 3 goes in 9, but if we skip counted, we could go 3, 6, 9, and we have 3 different groups. Okay? So how many pennies do 2 of the 3 people get in all? Ooh, so there's another part to this question. It says, how many pennies do 2 of the 3 people get? So if we want to figure out how many did 2 of the 3 people get, this is like fractions. We have 2, we're going to count 2 of the 3 groups, okay? So we have 3 groups, we're going to count 2 of them. Or we get rid of 1 of them. So I'm actually just going to get rid of 1 of them. Now, how many pennies are we left with? We have 2 groups left, so we're going to count how many pennies we have left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's skip count by 3s. 3, 6. We have 6 pennies left. So how many pennies did 2 of 3 people get in all? They get 6 pennies. Okay, so the 2 people put their pennies together. Now they have 6 of the 9 pennies. All right. Moving on to page 172. So page 172, lesson 8.8. Now, you guys should be able to do this. Actually, you guys are going to need 20 pennies. You guys will need 20 pennies. Okay, let's do number 3 together. And I'd like you to try the other problem on your own. Okay, so we're going to do 3 together. You can do 4 on your own. Now, we have, okay, so this might actually help to have it out like this, since we need 5 groups, okay? So it says fifths. Fifths means 5. Fifths means 5, okay? So we have 5 groups we need to find. 5 people want to share 15 pennies. Now, if we had 15 pennies, I'm going to go ahead, put 15 pennies out. I'm going to put them on my white piece of paper, though, so it's easier to see later. You guys aren't going to see this on camera right now, but that's okay. Go ahead, grab your 15 pennies. Okay, I've got my 15 pennies right here, but I'm going to put them to the side just a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so fifths, 5 people are sharing 15 pennies. How many pennies does each person get? Okay, well, we have 15 pennies out here. We have 5 different groups. And what I want you guys to take a look at is when we skip count by 5s, we know the number is either going to end with a 0 or a 5. So that should give us a good hint that the 5s and 15, it's going to be an easy way to group, okay? Because we know that 5 is going to go into 15 equally. We know that because a 5, if you skip count by 5s, you end with a 0 or a 5, and we have a 5 in our ones value, or our ones place value. Okay, so let's take our 15 pennies. Now we're going to do this the long way for everyone, just because we're going to start slow. So we're going to go 1 to each circle. Okay, that's not going to want to stay for me, is it? Okay, so 1 to each circle. Now 1 more to each circle. And keep doing this until you run out of pennies. Look, I ran out of pennies. And how many pennies are in each group? Take a look. We have 3 pennies in each group. So we can skip count by 3s, or we could skip count by 5. Well, we're not going to skip count by 5s right now, but let's skip count by 3s to get our 15, to make sure we have our 15 pennies. We have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, okay? So there's our 15 pennies. So 5 people, if they shared 15 pennies equally, they each get how many pennies? They each get 3 pennies, okay? Now that would be 3 times 5, right? There's 5 groups times 3 pennies in each group. That gives us 15. Now it says, how many pennies did 3 of 5 people get in all? So let's take a look at our groups. It says 3 of 5 people. So you could either add 3 together or just take away. First, I'm going to take away 2 people because we don't need these 2 people. We want 3 people's pennies. Okay, so we're left with 3 people's pennies, and we're going to count how much we have left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now let's skip count by 3s. 3, 6, 9. So how many pennies do 3 of the 5 people get in all? They have 9 pennies, okay? We were left with 9 pennies. All right, now, like I said, I'm going to let you guys do 4 on your own. Fourths means 4, so you're looking for 4 groups. 4 people are sharing 20 pennies equally, all right? Now, let's go on to our math boxes, okay?